Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to explain my no vote. I'm sure Sean Donovan's a bright guy. As Senator Landrieu said, he's enthusiastic, upbeat. Those are fine qualities. But what we really need in America today is we need honesty. We have far too many reality deniers. We need to really face the situation. And my concern with Mr. Donovan is, I appreciate the fact that he came to my office, we met, and I told him exactly what questions I'd be asking him in the Budget Committee. I wanted to talk about the Social Security Trust Fund. And the fact that OMB in its own publication admits the fact that the trust fund, yeah, it's an asset to the trust fund, those U.S. government bonds, but they're an offsetting liability to the Treasury. And in OMB's own words, in their own publication, it says that transaction nets to zero. They are not balances that can be paid, that can be used to pay the promises made to the American public. And so I think it's extremely important that we here in Congress and the members of the administration admit the extent of the problem. The first step in any problem-solving process is you have to first admit you have the problem. And you have to properly define it. So I put Mr. Donovan on notice that I was going to have that conversation with him in the Budget Committee. He refused to acknowledge the fact of what OMB's own publication said, that you have an asset offset by a liability netting to zero. CBO Director Elmendorf was honest. He admitted that. Federal Reserve Chair Yellen was honest enough and admitted to that fact. Sean Donovan did not. And I didn't see a whole lot of experience or qualification to be OMB director, quite honestly. So again, he's a fine man. I'm sure he's a great family man, intelligent, bright guy. I just don't think he's qualified to be OMB director. And I certainly don't think he's qualified if he's not even willing to, when given notice, when he's not willing to be honest with the American public and Congress in terms of exactly what the trust fund means to Social Security, how it will not sustain Social Security through the year 2033. So again, I'd like to be supportive. I believe the President has got, elections matter, and he should be given the right to name people, for his own cabinet. But I simply can't support this nomination. Thank you.
Are there others who would like to be heard on this nomination? Let me just say in response to what you just said, Senator Johnson, as Rob Portman knows, I spent some time in Columbus, Ohio, back at Ohio State as an undergraduate, and go back there every now and then.
What's wrong with you?
That's not what's wrong with me. That's what's right with me.
It's the wrong OSU.
It's the OSU. No, but anyway, every now and then they invite me back, and Rob's there a whole lot more than I am. I was back about a year ago. I was invited to come in and speak to about 500 young men between the ages of 18 and 22. They were from Ohio State and members of my fraternity, and from about 7 or 8 other states in the region. And I talked to them about values. I talked to them about leadership and some of the challenges we face here. And near the end of my remarks, I asked them a question. I said, the 500 guys, I said, how many of you think you'll ever receive a Social Security check? How many? Raise your hand. Not one hand went up. I said to them, how many of you think you'll ever be eligible for Medicare, get some help through Medicare? Raise your hand. Not one hand went up. And I told them, I would just share with all of you, my job, I think our job is to make sure that when they need a Social Security check or when they need Medicare, that they'll be there, because we will have found ways to save money, provide those, save the programs, and make sure they're available for future generations. So.
But, Mr. Chair, the only way we're going to be able to save those programs is we have to be honest about what the structure of those programs are, how utterly unsustainable that is, and we have to describe that to the American public. Because, yeah, I agree. I have yet to have a young person say that they have any expectation of getting Social Security and Medicare, and that's just wrong. It's utterly unfair. But it's our responsibility to be honest with them and give them the information and get the information ourselves so we can save those programs.
Well, I look forward to working with all of our colleagues here toward that end. All right.